Okay, welcome everyone to our next webinar. Our topic this week is the new RFI that was released just 2 weeks ago called Break and Bite to the new savory snack experience. And to present this RFI, we have Jason Guo, who's the Innovation Communications Development, Commercialization Development Manager. So Jason, go ahead.
Hello everyone. Before I start the webinar, we have some exciting news. We are excited to announce the official launch date for the new innovation portal. The goal of this new portal is to provide a framework to rapidly grow and expand the capability of what Xinova can do while improving your experience and adding additional transparency to our processes. So with that, let me start this webinar. My name is Jason Guo. I am the RFI Manager of Break and Bite. At Xinova, we believe problems are a good thing and everything is solvable through our network, of course. Here's the outline. I will first introduce the challenge, and then we'll move on to talk about what the problem is and why it's valuable to solve this problem. Then I will cover some background and provide some additional example. Next, we will cover the criteria of what is the must-have, nice-to-have, and out of scope. Then we'll talk about our considerations for commercializations and end up with the Q&A sessions at the end. The challenge, you can see in these pictures, see the joy of the mother and daughter sharing an onigiri experience. They're very happy. You can see in these pictures, the onigiri is the snack. It's savory, it's uniform shape, it's triangular shape, and when it's packed or wrapped with a plastic and packed in a bag or a box, it can be densely packed with very minimum breakage. And once you open the wrapping, you can break it and share it with your friend or your family. So this is what we are looking for as a product. So what is the problem? You can see this image. This is a classic potato chip bags. Potato chips are irregularly shaped. And then in order to maintain low breakage, when the chips are filled in the bag, a large volume of air is necessary. That becomes a problem because consumer doesn't like to buy a bag full of air, so you have a lower consumer satisfaction. If we can solve this problem, we can reduce the packaging materials by minimizing using minimum materials, and because if you minimize the materials, you also will reduce the environmental impact. And at last, because the snack is more densely packed, it will improve the efficiency during the transportations or shipment. Here in the background, I would like to cover some commonly used cooking and packaging method. The common ingredients that we use for savory snacks, not limited, but there are some common ones such as potatoes, flours, dough, corn, etc. In the cooking process, in the existing manufacturing line, slicing, extrusion, molding, baking, frying, and seasoning. These can be seen in a lot of videos, but if the snacks require other type of cooking, it's certainly not to be limited, but inventor will have to provide a cooking method and ideally identify how to implement in the manufacturing environment. Here I have listed 4 kinds of packaging method. The first one is the vertical foam seal. commonly used for potato chips bags and tortilla chips as well. The next one is the horizontal foam seal. So in this particular packaging method, we can see most of the cookies or chips, they have to be lined up first. Then they can be sealed with the horizontal foam fill seal approach. It's a little bit slower, but it could be densely packed. The next one is the combinations of using a paper or plastic tray plus a horizontal foam fill seal. A classic product such as Oreo. And the last one is the classic stacks or Pringles, where they use paperboard tubes. So again, the packaging method shouldn't be limited to those four, but this is our commonly used in a production line. If you suggest other packaging approach to enhance the packaging efficiency, we are certainly more than welcome to review it, but please identify how would you implement that in manufacturing environment. Oops, jump a little bit too far. Example. I'm going to introduce 4 types of examples. The first one is Kit Kat. You can see that the chocolate product is connected in a way that you can break it longitudinally and share with your friends. On the right-hand side, this product is called a cherry orange, and you can see that you can break it apart radially just like an orange. The next one is Toblerone. Toblerone has a cross-sectional of a triangular shape. You can break it longitudinally and share with your friends. The last one is grid-like approach. You can see this product is called Hand Off My Chocolate Bar, that you have circular grid. On the other similar product, you can imagine sort of like a Hershey, that you have a rectangular or square grid instead of a circular grid. Now we're moving to must-have. What is wanted, what is needed, combined will be must-haves. First, partitioning and sharing. The breaking apart of the snack should resemble a ritual where the components of the snack are shareable. So this snack should have a predefined shape pattern that can be done either through perforated or linked approach. Next, product process. So other than the shareable component that is important and new that we wanted included here, here is the critical, the key of the invention, that is the product process. So what is in the product process? You can imagine for a snack, how do you cook it and how do you pack it? Our clients are looking for innovations in both cooking and packaging. So an idea that's just provide a sharing component might not be enough. Ideally, we would like to see some innovations in the cooking and packaging process. Next, consistent shape that packs well will also enhance the density, not only with a single package, but also between multiple packages with a case of packages. We're looking for low breakage approach that is less breakage than current snack when you ship it with flexible or foil bags. The product must be shelf stable, doesn't require refrigeration, and in minimum packaging materials to reduce the environmental impact. There's another must is it must be a savory snack, not sweet. Package form, it is more important than the material itself. It must stack on itself well. An inventor should explain why a particular packaging approach was chosen. Last one is, it should be obvious for our clients or during our review process that this is an approach that lined up a site plan to full scale. If it's not obvious to go through the mass productions, the inventor should explain a little bit more details if it's not obvious. Nice to have. So the snack should be a defined shape and clean cut. So when you break it, there should be a minimum crumb or less of rough edges. Next is the out of scope. So keep calm, it's out of scope. We just have to stay out of this criteria. First is the minor changes. Any minor changes that is to an existing product are not welcome. So there must be something new or inventive in the packaging or cooking process. The second is cracker and cookie sheet lines. This is a well-known technology, so it will be listed as out of scope. Sweet snacks should be out of scope as well. No meat options. No sweet binders or use of sugar as plasticizers. And then for the idea that is not scalable or labor intensive, it will be certainly out of scope. For example, the 3D printed snack is not ideal for a mass production. The last one is the package shouldn't require thick plastic for protection. Considerations for commercializations. It should not rely entirely on package to achieve this benefit, and preferably we'll be able to use our clients' existing manufacturing equipment or slightly modifications. However, other manufacturing equipment that is available or work at a commercial scale may be of interest. So here comes to end of our webinar. Here we will have, before we jump into the Q&A sessions, again, we would like to encourage inventors to take advantage of the pre-submission feedback. This is a preferred method by sending a message through our chat features on the Nova website. By clicking on the hexagonal button on bottom right, an IDM or other Xinova staffs will reach out to you within 2 or 3 days. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jason. So some of you have already submitted questions. That's excellent. So for those of you who haven't been on this platform, there is a Q&A button on your screen, on your options screen, that will allow you to submit questions. So as you submit them, we'll answer them. So we already have a few questions in. The first one is, what's the difference between savory and sweet? Maybe some examples.
For example, candy, chocolate, they're sweet. Something that is a bit salty and has more of a vegetable meat flavor, that's considered as savory. But if you're not quite sure that you have something in mind, please just send me use the pre-submission feedback, and I'll clarify for you if it is not obvious.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, are you looking for one solution covering all the topics highlighted?
In this RFI, we're looking for a product, a new product that highlights all the inventions. It should be an and/or that you have innovations in cooking process or packaging. But I think it's something that is breakable, that you can share with your friends. We make it a scope a little bit narrow by doing so.
Okay. So next question is, are fried products allowed?
Yes, well, there's a frying process, but it has to be shelf stable if it's a fried product.
We also have, is multi-textural in scope? It seems like they've struggled with this in the past. So do you have any guidance on using a variety of textures?
Thank you, Alicia, for the questions. haven't thought of this one, multi-textual. Let me get back to you on that one offline or when we meet next week.
Okay, next question is, does the solution concentrate only on the form factor rather than on the food content?
Like I said, there's one of the out of scope. If it's just a minor change by changing the form, I don't think it will be a strong case, strong enough solutions. Clients have highlighted in the must-have, other than a sharing component, they are looking for cooking and packaging innovations in the solution.
So in our next question, you mentioned that meat is out of scope, but is meat flavoring and or plant-based meat substitutes within scope?
I think meat flavors, to me, like barbecue flavors, other plant-based meat. We know that the meat is definitely out of scope. Plant-based meat, I have not heard about it, but I'll double check with our clients.
Yeah,
Get back to you.
my guess would be that it would be, given that it's just not meat. If it's a snack, then it likely would be. Next question, is a snack to be a single piece when purchased, or can it be multiple pieces in one pack?
Thank you, Michael, for the questions. I think it could be a one single piece and you can break it down, or you can have a multiple pieces, then you can break the multiple pieces down that still have a sort of a breakable ritual and share that you can share.
Next question, is there an ideal serving size or range and a price point?
I think after you break the snack, ideal size will be like one bite. You can imagine one bite could how big or how small, as long as you can fit in one bite. And then during the product development, they will sort of identify what is the perfect one bite size for the consumer. And the price point, we haven't highlighted that because I think this is early ideas. We would like to make sure that we see the idea, and then the price point, I think, is associated with, I don't know, your question is regarding to the product itself or the manufacturing cost. Therefore, earlier I mentioned that ideally they would like to use their existing line to for the productions or some minor change that will minimize the capex spending, which will maybe lower the manufacturing cost or the product cost.
Okay, so we have a scoping question. So on the no sheeting requirement, are novel sheeting methods that aren't known today within scope?
Thank you, Ishak. I think currently the sheeting that we know, they are in the shape of a triangular, not triangular, is the rectangular or square as cookie sheet, such as what is that one crackers that you make into the s'mores?
Oh, graham cracker.
Graham cracker. Yeah, those are commonly known, that's perforated or linked. But if there are other inventions that you can define the pattern in a different pattern or define a different way, but include some innovative ideas associated with cooking or packaging, that might be something of interest still.
Okay, next question from Michael. Are there ingredient restrictions, for example, wheat or potato base?
I have not heard the limitations other than the savory. It has to be savory.
And not meat.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and then what is the throughput number of mine? So, for example, how many units are needed to be produced per second?
That's a good question. We haven't dig in that deep yet. I think you can imagine that if you have an idea that you need additional equipment, I think first identify how do you make it, what type of equipment you need. The throughput, of course, you will depending on, you don't want to be the bottleneck through the whole cooking and packaging process. So depending on the line throughput, it has to be, I think there will be a certain criteria, but I think depend on the product. Different product, different throughput, so I don't have a number to cover it all. But if you have some concern on that, we can definitely try to answer that in a more specific example.
Okay, and our last question for now is, are they after something that specifically snaps, or will they consider other ways to separate pieces apart?
No, I think snap is part of the breakable part. Are there other ways you can break it? I think they all fit in the scope. And like I said, I think one question earlier is that does it have to be all one piece? No, it can be multiple pieces, but you can still break them into by breaking the individual piece into a smaller one-bite piece.
Okay, yeah, these were all really excellent questions. If you have any more, we're still on the line for another few minutes, so please feel free to submit any questions. So our next one is there any hardness requirement?
Not that I'm aware of. Thanks for bringing this up. We will ask our clients if there's a hardness requirement. Well, thanks for the question.
And maybe just insofar as it doesn't break in the package. So if
yeah, you have to be, the heart is okay, but you need to be able to break it.
Right, it has to be breakable, but not crumble in the package. It should.
Yeah, that's one of the nice have item is that if you can have a clean cut, minimum crumbs and sharp clean edge, that'll be ideal. It's a nice to have item.
So our next question is from Michael. Can it be a filled snack? For example, a hard case with a soft core?
This is a very good question, Michael. We have, in the previous RFI, we have seen some of the filled snack. I think this is definitely within the scope is okay, but I think I would encourage you to think about if you have a feeling inside of snack during the cooking process, think about how you cooked it, and also the moisture from the filling has to come out of the snack. Therefore, it will be a little bit challenging to control the exact shape or consistent shape. If you could highlight or give it more details how you would resolve that, that would be ideal.
Okay, so that's all the questions that we've had so far.
Thank you very much. I would like to make sure that you all aware of the circulation period or sourcing period of these inventions is 3 months. So if you have a good idea, please jump on it and write the report instead of waiting for the last minute because it's only 3 months. So this will help us to source the invention more efficiently, and hopefully we can get more RFI out to the network to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm. We do have one last question.
Sure.
To answer. So this is there any interest in embedding a nutraceutical feature in the finished snack? So Xinova notes that snacks can cause cavities. So if there was an innovation that would convey a dental hygiene advantage, would that be of interest?
I think it will be of interest, but if you can meet the criteria or must have or out of scope with the other one, it is definitely something additional advantage. But you got to make sure that you meet the criteria for the others first. Great approach though. Okay, thank you all. Have a good day, have a good evening, have a good night.
All right, thank you everyone.